everyone. Welcome to Live Interactive English, and I am Karen.
I'm Mike, and we are back with a Case of Identity Part 2. That's right, it's a story that comes from Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Dr. Watson and Sherlock Holmes and all their mysteries. And this is quite a mystery. We have a young woman named Mary who was just about to get married to the love of her life, Hosmer Angel.
That's right.
But then suddenly, I guess on the day of the wedding, maybe even as she's there at the church, Hosmer disappears. She can't find the love of her life, the man she was planning to marry.
Yeah, that's right. And he didn't show up, right?
No.
So I don't really know, but I have a guess. I mean, she didn't mention that they were having fights.
No,
I thought
happened.
everything was going great.
Yep.
They're in love.
Madly in love.
But maybe his feelings changed? Maybe he decided last minute not to marry Mary.
You're thinking maybe he got cold feet.
That's right. A lot of people would get cold feet right before their wedding day, which means that they get a little bit nervous. They're worried about their decision.
I'm going to live with this person forever.
Exactly. It is kind of scary.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
It is a big commitment. So I think maybe he got cold feet.
It could be, but he was a little mysterious. Remember, he used to type her letters instead of writing them. He would kind of not sign his name on things. And then there's also the whole relationship between Mary and her stepfather.
That's right.
This young man who married Mary's mother. And also Mary has her own money. So there's a few interesting things here. It may not be just as simple as Hosmer getting cold feet and thinking, I can't get married now, I'm too young. Anyways, the good news is that Sherlock Holmes is hot on the case.
That's right.
And if there's a mystery here, he will solve it. And hopefully he'll solve it today in our story. Let's check it out.
All right.
The next evening, there was a knock at Holmes's door. The visitor was James Windibank, whom Holmes had invited to the apartment with a letter. Holmes explained that the typed letter of reply from Windibank had matching properties to those of the typed letters from Mr. Angel. Windibank tried to leave. "If you can catch the man, catch him, and let me know when you have done it," he said. Holmes then locked the door and said that he had already found him. Shocked, Windibank sat back down. Holmes explained that Windibank had disguised himself and posed as Mr. Angel. Mr. Angel's disappearance was planned to make sure that Mary would never get over her missing fiancé and wouldn't marry anyone else. That way, Windibank could still receive her inheritance money.
So we're looking at part 2 of A Case of Identity. And today we are going to find out what happened to Mr. Angel. Did he just disappear? Where did he go?
I don't know, but Holmes definitely wants to help this young woman Mary with her mystery. So as we get back to the story, we see that some time has passed. And this often happens in Sherlock Holmes stories. The person with the problem comes to his apartment, explains the story to Holmes and Watson, and then Holmes sort of says, okay, leave me now and I will think about it. And that's when he starts to use his amazing brain. So maybe he's been able to kind of get a few answers already. Let's see what happens. It says the next evening, so one night later, there was a knock at Holmes's door. Who could it be? The visitor was James Windibank,
Stepfather.
whom Holmes had invited to the apartment with a letter. Holmes already has an idea that Windibank, this is the stepfather, this young man who married Mary's mother, he might be involved. So Holmes sent a message to him, said, please, sir, I would like to meet you and speak with you about an important matter. Please come to 22B Baker Street tomorrow evening. So Windibank came, and he also came with a letter.
That's right. I don't know. Let's find out. Holmes explained that the typed letter of reply from Windibank had matching properties to those of the typed letters from Mr. Angel. So we're looking at this word property, and that is a noun. So right here, it basically are the characteristics that enable us to differentiate one material or one thing from another. So for example, one of the properties of garlic is its strong smell, and that's how you differentiate it from other things, right?
So it's a feature, it's an aspect, it's something about this typewriter is similar to the other letter from maybe the same typewriter. And it's true, back in the old days, those machines, even though they were all made to be the same, you know, the letter, the E might be a little different on one. And so if you use the typewriter to write different letters, you might, almost like a fingerprint, you might also be able to say, these were written on the same machine, or something like that. So Windibank realizes he might be in trouble. Windibank tried to leave. So he's like, oh, I gotta get out of here. He knows that Holmes might be on to him. Holmes might be about to expose him as a liar of some kind. And Windibank says, if you can catch the man, catch him, and let me know when you have done it. So Windibank is sort of acting like he's innocent here, like he has nothing to do with it, but he really wants Holmes to be successful. If you can catch the man, catch him, and let me know when you have done it, he said. Holmes then locked the door and said that he had already found him. Shocked, Windibank sat back down. So Holmes is like, I've already found the man, it's you! And he locked the door so that Windibank can't escape from the apartment and run away because, of course, Windibank has been caught. He's been found out. When you lock something, you use a lock. It's a special device, a special small kind of like a machine or a mechanical device, and it stops a door from being opened unless you have the key, or these days, unless you have a card or know the special numbers, the special code. But basically, when you put your key in a door, like in the morning when you're leaving home and turn it, you are locking the door with that small machine, that small thing, also called a lock. I forgot to lock the door when I left the house, so now anyone can just walk into my home.
That's right. Okay, I guess everything is just kind of making more sense now, right? Okay, let's find out more. Holmes explained that Windibank had disguised himself and posed as Mr. Angel. Okay, disguise means you're trying to dress up as another person and not yourself, kind of hiding your own identity. So then he dressed himself as Mr. Angel. Mr. Angel's disappearance was planned to make sure that Mary would never get over her missing fiance and wouldn't marry anyone else. Wow. So that sounds like Windibank is really, really controlling, right?
Absolutely.
That way, Windibank could still receive her inheritance money. So that is what he's after.
That's it. So he would go away on a business trip, maybe grow a mustache, change his hair, change his accent, go to the party, be very romantic with Mary, and then disappear and kind of think that Mary will be so heartbroken, she will never marry another man again. She misses Hosmer too much. And then Windibank will still be able to control her and get her money.
That is evil. That is right.
Absolutely. But he didn't count on coming across Sherlock Holmes and his amazing brain. Let's take a break and then we'll be back.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny， 今天要继续来读 A Case of Identity 身份之谜这个故事，我们来看看福尔摩斯如何破案。好，隔天晚上啊，福尔摩斯的门口传来敲门声，叩叩叩。原来他有用一封信邀请 Windibank 来他的公寓。那福尔摩斯说明啊 ，Windibank 打字的回信跟Hosmer Angel 打字的信件有相同的特性。听到这里啊 ，Windibank 他试图要离开，还说等福尔摩斯抓到那名男子时再告诉他。可是这时候呢，福尔摩斯就锁上门，说他已经找到人了。好，单字 property 在这边当名词表示特性、特质，它也有财产的意思。那么 Karen 老师提到这个特性啊、特质可以帮助我们用来区分不同事物。老师说的differentiate 就是在 different 后面加上 iate，differentiate 它是表示辨别、区别或是区分，是当动词用。好，那么 lock 这个动词它表示锁住、锁上，我们在前面加上否定字首 un 变成 unlock。那就可以表达解锁，用钥匙去打开的意思。好，那我们接着就来听听福尔摩斯他的说法哦。他就说啊 ，Windibank 把自己乔装打扮成 Hosmer Angel， 那他的失踪就是为了确保 Mary 永远都不会忘记他那个失踪的未婚夫，并且不会嫁给其他人。那这样一来啊 ，Windibank 还可以得到 Mary 那一份遗产的钱，他真的心机很重诶。我们看单字 disguise 这个动词呢，它表示给什么乔装打扮，或是将什么伪装起来。那乔装的时候可能会用到假发、假胡子等等。这时候 Mike 老师他提到 mustache mustache， 他表示嘴唇上面这个胡子八字胡。好，那这边3个重点，我们进入文法时间。我们来看第一个重点是 if 引导子句的不同用法与意思。那么第一种，我们可以用 if 引导表示条件的副词子句，表达假如怎么样，如果怎么样。那么句型会是 if 主词加动词，逗号，主词加上 will、can 或是 may， 再加原形动词。那么主要子句的部分也可以用祈使句表达。例如 If you need someone to talk to,Don't hesitate to give me a call. 如果你需要找人谈一谈，尽管打电话给我。那第二个，我们可以用 if 引导名词子句去表达是否怎么样怎么样，像 I wonder if the concert will be broadcast live. 我想知道那场演唱会是否会现场转播。这时候 if 引导的子句是当受词来用哦。好，那么第二个重点是分词构句的用法。对等连接词 and 去连接2个子句，而且主词相同的话，我们就可以把其中一句的主词删掉，还有把连接词删掉。那么动词是主动的话，就改成现在分词 VING。被动的时候呢，就删除 be 动词，只要保留 PP 过去分词就好。例如 The bridge was built in the 17th century.And the bridge is a famous landmark in the city. 那座桥建于17世纪，是城市里的知名地标。我们看到前后子句主词都一样，都是 the bridge。那接着我们省略连接词 and， 还有省略前半句的主词。那它的动词部分 was built 是被动嘛，所以删除 be 动词，只保留过去分词 built， 句子就变成 built in the 17th century. The bridge is a famous landmark in the city.第3个重点是片语动词 get over 的常见意思。那第一个意思可以表达可能是从疾病啊，或是令人不愉快的体验当中恢复过来，或者是释怀忘掉某人，所以它后面是可以接 something or somebody。例如 Anne broke up with her boyfriend 2 years ago, and she still hasn't gotten over him.Anne 2年前和男友分手，至今还没有忘掉他。那么第二个呢，我们可以用 get over 表达克服、战胜，可能是克服某个困难、问题等等。那后面会接 something。举例来说 ，The experience helped him get over his stage fright。那次的经验帮助他克服怯场。好，这回课文中。
Windibank all but admitted his guilt, though he added that he had done nothing illegal and that he couldn't be arrested. Holmes unlocked the door, opened it, and then reached for his whip. Windibank wasted no time and scurried out of the apartment in fear. Watson asked Holmes if he planned on telling Mary the truth. Holmes replied that she would never believe him.
All right, so we have almost reached the end of our story, and this is always the best part when Holmes explains the whole thing, also showing how clever and smart he is, how he put together all these random things to discover the truth. Windibank has been caught. We know he's a liar, and he was trying to trick this young girl, Mary, just so he could control her money.
Okay, well, let's continue with the story.
You've been caught, Windibank.
That's right, an evil man indeed. So Windibank all but admitted his guilt, though he added that he had done nothing illegal and that he couldn't be arrested. Okay, so we're looking at this word admit, and that is a verb. To admit something, basically just to agree that something is true, especially unwillingly. Like, I admit, my mistake. So, for example, he admitted his mistake and said he was sorry.
I guess it is true. I mean, Hosmer Angel was not a real person, so Windibank wasn't pretending to be a real person. That could be a crime.
True.
So what he did was tricky and evil and nasty and mean, but maybe not against the law. He's just a really bad person.
That's true.
So back to the story. What's Holmes going to do? He can't exactly call the police, can he? Holmes unlocked the door, opened it, and then reached for his whip. Oh my gosh. So Holmes maybe can't call the police, but he can give his own form of justice. He can whip the man because you're a bad guy or something like that. I didn't know Holmes had a whip. He uses his fist sometimes.
I
Dr.
didn't know that either.
Watson often has a gun or something, but a whip is quite an unusual weapon. This is something that is normally used to control animals. You might whip horses when you're riding on a carriage or something like that. And if any of you have seen that Indiana Jones guy, he has his whip as well. It's not a really easy weapon to use, especially inside a small apartment like Holmes is in, but it will definitely hurt because the whip, if it hits your skin, it can cut you and, cause great pain. But yeah, not the most useful weapon around, but a very cool one if you know what you're doing with it. It says, after the man lightly struck his horse with his whip, it started to run. So yes, people will do that in horse races, for example.
Okay, well, let's find out what happened to Windibank. Windibank wasted no time and scurried out of the apartment in fear, like running away quickly.
I would.
In fear means he was really, really afraid and scared. Watson asked Holmes if he planned on telling Mary the truth. Holmes replied that she would never believe him. Well, I guess you're right, because it is really, really hard to believe.
It's a pretty strange and kind of crazy story that this guy you loved, you thought you would marry, is actually your stepfather who disguised himself to steal your money away. Yeah, that's a pretty weird thing to try to explain. But that leads into our what do you think question. If you were Holmes, do you think Sherlock Holmes should have told Mary the truth about Mr. Angel and Mr. Windibank as well? Why or why not?
Well, it's such a difficult question. I think if Sherlock Holmes told Mary the truth, she would definitely be heartbroken because she was in love with Mr. Angel, right?
True, yeah.
And what kind of relationship would she have with the stepfather, Windibank?
Right, but then again, the stepfather was a big liar.
You're right.
He's married to Mary's mother, and also if he doesn't tell Mary the truth, she might live her life without finding love ever in the future. Just
That's true.
Always living with a broken heart and the memory of this Hosmer Angel guy who wasn't real. So maybe.
So I guess it would be a good idea to tell Mary the truth, although sometimes truth hurts.
True, but it's always better to know the truth, and who knows, maybe her mother will get divorced too from Mr. Windibank. Oh, that is a tough one.
And maybe find someone who actually truly loves the mother, right?
Hopefully, that would be good. So what do you guys think? An interesting question, why or why not? Also, from a very interesting case of the fantastic Sherlock Holmes and his good buddy, Dr. Watson. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We hope there are no big mysteries like this in your life. And if there are, write them down.
That's right.
What a story. We'll see you back here soon. Till then.
See you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
在看福尔摩斯的故事时，常常最精彩的部分就是看他如何把一些看似随机的线索拼凑在一起，找出真相。Mike 老师这时候用到 random 这个字 ，R-A-N-D-O-M，random 可以形容随机的或是任意的。 好，那故事最后写到 Windibank 几乎承认了自己的罪行，不过他也说啊，他没有做违法的事，不可能被逮捕。那接着福尔摩斯他就解锁开门，然后伸手去拿鞭子，那么 Windibank 立刻害怕的落荒而逃了。好，单字 admit 它是动词，表示承认、公认。好，那这边往往它是指说不情愿的承认，所以 Karen 老师她用到 unwillingly 这个副词，那它是在 willing 前面加上 un 否定字首，后面加上 ly， 构成这个副词，表示不情愿地或者是勉强地。好，下一个单字 whip， 它表示鞭子，那它也可以当动词来表达鞭笞或是抽打的意思。好，那么以上就是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
The next evening, there was a knock at Holmes's door. The visitor was James Windibank, whom Holmes had invited to the apartment with a letter. Holmes explained that the typed letter of reply from Windibank had matching properties to those of the typed letters from Mr. Angel. Windibank tried to leave. "If you can catch the man, catch him, and let me know when you have done it," he said. Holmes then locked the door and said that he had already found him. Shocked, Windibank sat back down. Holmes explained that Windibank had disguised himself and posed as Mr. Angel. Mr. Angel's disappearance was planned to make sure that Mary would never get over her missing fiancé and wouldn't marry anyone else. That way, Windibank could still receive her inheritance money. Windibank all but admitted his guilt, though he added that he had done nothing illegal and that he couldn't be arrested. Holmes unlocked the door, opened it, and then reached for his whip. Windibank wasted no time and scurried out of the apartment in fear. Watson asked Holmes if he planned on telling Mary the truth. Holmes replied that she would never believe him.
We are like two peas in a pod. Our love is a fire that burns completely, and I can feel us connected.
Hey, what's going on, Shane? It looks like something's on your mind.
I fell in love with a girl at first sight. I even have our baby's name picked out.
You're so dramatic. How long have you guys known each other?
We've known each other for 3 days. She is my true love.
3 days? You just have a crush on her. It's not love.
What's the difference? Hi everybody, I'm Shane.
And I'm Karen.
Today we're going to explain the difference between love, adore, crush, affections, and like.
Aww. If you have feelings for someone, but you don't have a relationship with them, you should say, I have a crush on someone. In general, you can also say, I like someone.
How about affections and adore?
Affections are feelings of liking or loving. And adore means loving someone very much, especially in a way that shows a lot of admiration or respect.
Oh, I definitely adore her because she is intelligent, kind, good-looking.
Enough. You should focus on how to win the person's affection. Okay, well, that's all for today. We'll see you next time.